Hi, I'm Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. Now recently I spent some time with the Hyundai i30N and that really just reignited my love for performance hatchbacks. So this is a car that I really wanted to get ticked off of the box. This is the Cupra Leon 300. So this is the 295 brake horsepower or 300 PS version. So it actually shares a lot of components with the Golf GTI Club Sport. Now in the summer, if you've been subscribed for a while, first of all, thank you very much, but you will have remembered that I went to a Cupra event and I drove the 4Men Tour, but actually this had just been released and I was just bombarded with male journalists who didn't let me get even a look in at this car. So since then, it's been one that I really wanted to get my hands on. And actually, I've been able to have a really good look at this car because I've done a lot of driving this week. In fact, me and the Cupra Leon are very well acquainted. I've done nearly 800 miles and I've spent over 17 hours in the driver's seat of this car. So I've had a really good insight into how it drives. And if you want to see what I thought of it, then please make sure you keep watching. If you like new car reviews and car content, then please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Okay, so let's start by talking about the styling, and kind of around the styling I want to talk about the key, because this is one of my favourite things. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, isn't it? It's obviously not my favourite things, but I do like this a lot. So it's your standard Volkswagen Group car. It's exactly the same as you'll see it in the Volkswagens, even in the Skodas and different cars like that. But on the back, you have this bronze detailing with the Cupra badge in the middle, and it's just such a tiny little detail that I love about it. And actually, that's a really kind of ongoing thing about the Cupra Leon or any Cupra. They have very good attention to detail. I've had over 6 months become accustomed to Cupra's designs and the styling of the Cupra Leon, and then I've spent a week with this car as well, and I'm still undecided as to how I feel about it. I'm just not sure. There's something that I can't put my finger on that I don't really like about it. It's going to appeal to a lot of people, and that's a fantastic thing about cars. They give us so much different opinions depending on who you are. But I think personally, this kind of sleek, narrow nose and the kind of shorter grille to what we've become used to is something that I'm not particularly keen on. I like a more aggressive grille, especially on a performance car. But it's definitely nice to look at. It does have these sleek bonnet lines that lead you down into this gloss grille. Now, one thing I don't like about it for sure is the sort of scratchy plastics that they add into this part of the grille and along the bottom of the splitter as well. I just think it cheapens what is otherwise a very nice design.
A very nice little touch is that the front and rear LED lights mirror that of the Cupra Badge.
All versions of the Cupra Leon get 19-inch alloy wheels, which come in a few different design options, all of which are this two-tone grey and black, and you also get the copper detailing. Now personally, I think these do look great, but they're not going to be particularly practical, especially if you're prone to curbing your wheels, because it's going to be really obvious. So if you are somebody who curbs their wheels a lot, then get to know your alloy wheel guy if you're going to be buying a Cupra Leon. You do also get some really nice brake calipers.
Those 370mm Brembos are finished in black and again with the copper detailing. The Leon manages to be sleek by using a few body creases leading to the back of the car.
It's very pretty from the back, and it shares the same light bar that you'll find on a lot of Volkswagen products, this brake light that runs all the way along. Something that I do like is the fact that it actually mimics the Cupra Badge design. These lights, when lit up, almost look like the top parts of the Cupra Badge, which is really cool. The Cupra Badge itself, you've got the copper design with the carbon, which I do like. Like other Volkswagen Group cars, you press in on the badge and that opens the boot. The only thing that it doesn't share with a lot of Volkswagen Group cars is that the rear view camera is actually at the bottom here and not integrated into the badge. And that means that all of the dirt off of the road does get that camera really dirty. 4 quad tailpipes housed in this nice rear diffuser. Now the only shame is these aren't actually physical tailpipes, these are mostly for show, but the good news is there is 4 tailpipes, they're just a little bit further back. Now let me start it up and we'll hear how it sounds. with the interior quality. Everything feels very high quality in here. Yes, okay, it's not all great, which I'll explain later, but you've got a very nice leather wrapped armrest there, which is adjustable in height. The exterior of these seats are also leather wrapped with the copper stitching. You have got cloth on the interior, which does let it down a lot. It really instantly makes this cabin feel a lot cheaper. You've got cloth on the seats, and then you've also got cloth on the door cards as well. This would definitely be a reason that I would want to step up to the higher car, because this is the entry level. It's still very good quality though for an entry level car. You've got this nice brushed plastic across the dash, which feels really high quality. Nothing like that horrible kind of feel in my Abarth. You've got a really nice leather wrapped dash, which has got this squidgy kind of textured detailing. You've got a bit of gloss black on the screen, and you've got a bit of gloss plastic around the air vents, but actually it's been avoided quite a lot in this car, which I really like. To be honest, here's the not so good part. This does feel really cheap, this centre console, which is a real shame, and the kind of cup holders as well feel pretty cheap. But actually then you get to the kind of what's in the centre console, and that's all really nice. There's a lot of places to pop your mobile phone, to pop the key. Everything kind of has a place, which I really like. The very first journalists that got the European spec cars seem to have all got the drive mode and the start button on the steering wheel, which was a huge plus for this car. However, this doesn't seem to have it, and from what I can tell, the spec up doesn't have it either. Some journalists have said that you need to spec up the steering wheel to get those buttons, but I can't seem to be able to do that anywhere on the Cupra website. So if I do find that out, then I'll make sure I'll input some details in that after. And that is a huge shame, because changing the driving mode is quite difficult. To do it, you have to go to the car, driving profile, and then change your driving mode like this. Now, sitting still, I seem to have done that very quickly, but driving along, it's not so quick. Let me demonstrate. Well, let's think, for instance, I've just pulled up at a traffic lights. There's someone beside me that looks like they want a race. Of course, I'm not going to race them, but what I do want to do is I want to quickly put it in Cupra so I can at least flex that exhaust. So quickly we hit this. Remember, you're quite flustered. Driver profile, Cupra. Yeah, by then that person has probably already gotten away from you at the lights. And along with those missing buttons on the steering wheel, that also means that you miss the traction control button off as well. Because when you get the buttons on the steering wheel, this drive start button here changes to the traction control off button. So I think that's a real shame. But less of the bad things, and let's talk about the good things, because this steering wheel is really lovely. Leather wrapped, flat bottomed, there is some plastic, but there's not too much plastic at all. You've got lots of buttons and everything is really easy to use. You've got a nice physical scroller for your volume and a physical scroller to change your kind of details on the dashboard. And thank God you do have these, because using these is extremely difficult. If you want to change your volume, you have to slide it along kind of on this bar here, which doesn't always work. And actually at night, this isn't lit up, so it's really annoying and you can hardly see what you're prodding at all. However, it's not all bad with this infotainment screen. There are actually things that I like about it. And that, for one, is the eye climate. So click on the eye climate and you have a few kind of shortcut options. Now, I'm 28 years old and I've never learned how to properly defog my car, but it has an actual section for defogging it. Fresh air, cool my feet, warm my hands. These are all such fantastic little shortcuts which I think make living with this car really great. I was surprised to discover that this car in the back is actually bigger than the Volkswagen Golf. Everything feels really roomy. I've got loads of headroom and this seat is really far back and I've still got plenty of knee space. You also get, above and beyond the Golf, tri-zone climate control, and I've got two USB-C Type 2 chargers. You've also got a pull-out armrest with a couple of cup holders. Yes, okay, some of the quality behind things isn't always the best, but actually it's really comfortable here.
The Cupra Leon has 380 litres of boot space, bigger than both the Golf and the Focus ST.
I do think that the quality of the interior of the boot does let the car down just very slightly. You have this nasty kind of cheap parcel shelf, which is no surprise because you get that in the Golf as well. However, unlike the Golf, you don't have an adjustable boot floor, and that means that when you put the rear seats back, you don't have a flat loading bay. And this boot floor does feel kind of cheap. However, you do get a space saver spare wheel as standard, something that the Golf doesn't get. It's essentially the same car mechanically as the excellent new Volkswagen GTI Club Sport. It uses exactly the same 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine and the 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox as that car, yet it offers buyers more equipment above and beneath the skin for less cash. What is fantastic about the Cupra Leon is it actually comes with adaptive suspension DCC as standard, which is amazing because that's something when I worked at Volkswagen that every person that bought a Golf R wanted in their car. It was the most desirable bit of specification, maybe after Pretoria's, but it's brilliant that the Cupra Leon gets it as standard, and that means that as you go through the different settings there's quite a differentiation between the setup of the chassis. In comfort, the chassis is very compliant, it's very soft. Pop it in Sport and it stiffens everything up slightly. Pop it in Cupra and again, everything becomes very stiff and very engaging. But something that I also like about this car is it's not too stiff. Now I found that with the Hyundai i30N that as soon as you put it in that N mode, it was absolutely ruthless. It really did thrash you about. But in the Cupra, it's slightly more able to be lived with. In a lot of the 0 to 62 time tests that I've seen of this car, it's actually exceeded expectations. Volkswagen do it again, right? But I definitely consider that as a good thing because I'd rather be impressed than disappointed. 295 brake horsepower through a front-wheel drive car is quite a lot. But despite this, the Cupra deals with it pretty well. I mean, it's been wet on the floor, it's pretty kind of slidey, but stick my foot down. There is little to no slip on those wheels. There's a tiny bit of slip when it was kind of going between third and fourth, but apart from that, it sticks to the road really well despite not being a four-wheel drive. And in fact, I think it actually sticks to the road better than the Hyundai i30N did.
There are 4 driving modes: Eco, Sport, Comfort and Cupra. Changing the modes also dictates the light bar running along the dashboard. There are some set colours, or you can pick the colours from a select menu.
Something else that I like about this car is despite what mode you have it in between those 4, it still has personality in even comfort. Pop your foot down and the engine still comes alive. Yes, okay, there's a slight delay in the gearbox when it's in comfort, but it's by no means slow. There's no sluggish nature to it. And that means that if you are having it in comfort a lot of the time to save on that fuel economy, but you still need a quick burst of power, at least you know it's still there without having to change the modes. Amongst a lot of things, something that's really surprised me about this car is actually the fuel economy. So a lot of journalists have said that if you drive it carefully you can get around 34 miles per gallon, and the official Cupra stat is 35.8 miles per gallon. And I've done just over 800 miles in this car, and that's mostly a combination of comfort mode on motorways and then a bit of Cupra mode around town and some sport mode thrown in there as well. And actually I'm seeing 37.8 miles per gallon as my combined fuel economy, which is really impressive. In fact, on the longer journeys when I've been sitting on the motorway in comfort mode, this car's been doing in excess of 40 miles per gallon, and for a car with nearly 300 brake horsepower, that's really impressive. You know, styling wise, this car just isn't really my cup of tea. I do think it just looks far too masculine for a car that I would want to buy. I still think it's a great car though, and actually the drive of this has won me over so much. It's just so good at doing everything. I mean, let's face it, as a commuter car, I'm getting up to 40 miles per gallon. And then as soon as you stick it into that Cupra mode, and with that paddles, that quick shifting gearbox, that amazing sounding exhaust with those pops and bangs, it does everything. I have seriously enjoyed my time spent with the Cupra Leon 300. I was really impressed with just how well it coped with so many miles that I did. It's certainly much better at being an everyday car than the Hyundai i30N. Does that mean that it's a better car in general? Well, I'm not really sure. That all comes down to circumstance. The Cupra Leon is more comfortable, with the Hyundai i30N being very, very hard. And it also has better interior quality and design. However, the Hyundai i30N is just such a lethal weapon, and that exhaust just sounds so loud. The Cupra Leon is much more kind of refined, but it definitely does still hold that bite. Let me know what you think of the Cupra Leon in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video today. If you've liked it, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!